NBA Commissioner David Stern has spent 30 years at the helm of the NBA. When he retires in February, he'll hand over the reins to his longtime deputy, Adam Silver. As part of our NBA Finals coverage, Stern talked with me about his career and the future of the NBA. Congratulations on your nearly 30-year tenure as commissioner.
Thank you so much.
In recent weeks, we've seen kind of a spike in the fines for flopping. Do you expect the league to be tougher on that in the finals?
The truth is that the fines are modest fines. $5,000 is really just a notional idea to say we caught you. I think the place where you'll see it toughen up is next season. This was just our first season. We'll continue to do it in the finals. The play is very intense. The stakes are very high. Seen something of an uptick, I think, because of that. But we're going to be vigilant, and then we'll review it all at the end of the season.
Adam Silver, a loyal deputy for a long time, what is the most valuable counsel that he's given you over the years, and how will he be different from you?
Well, I would say that Adam's most valuable counsel has been the continuing ability to sit with me and tell me when he disagreed with me on any issue or another. He's independent. He's virtually as expert across every issue as anyone could possibly be in our league. Is very hardworking, and so he has been terrific to do things initially in my name, but really he took it over many functions. He's very strong in all areas, but particularly he's been focusing on international, digital, globalization, and those are, and television, and those are going to be the main drivers for the future of the NBA.
You've had a lot of successes, but there were some embarrassments that go along with being commissioner. One was the Ron Artest situation, fighting with fans, and the game rigging.
That was a crisis. Yes.
And the game rigging by a former NBA referee, illegal betting.
There's a difference between game rigging and illegal betting. Okay. What are you suggesting?
The illegal betting of an NBA referee.
That was a real crisis for us.
Do you think that your response to those incidents have protected those kinds of things from happening again?
Well, I think in each case we do whatever we can to assure that they won't happen, no less again. But that's my job, is to deal with the crisis. Is someone else capable of jumping over the scorer's table and running up into the stands? I suppose so, despite the fact that we have security watching it and facing the stands, and have stopped selling beer at the end of the third period so inebriated fans don't throw things to antagonize our players. Number two, with respect to Tim Donaghy, the referee, we've had a former federal prosecutor step in, analyze everything we do, and he came up with a series of recommendations which we have, I'd say, followed completely, and we always do a review every year to make sure we're complying with his suggestions.
Thinking about Jason Collins and you supporting his decision, the distinction between him and Jackie Robinson, which a lot of people have made that comparison, is that when Jackie played, Jackie was out there playing, and Jason is not on a team roster at the moment.
No free agent is.
Okay, in
he
fairness,
just joins
we can say that.
Those free agents as of July 1,
but
because technically he's still on the Washington Wizards.
Whether it's him or another player that ends up coming out and actually having to take the court as a gay player, what can the NBA do? Is there anything the NBA can do to really protect or to change the culture for a player to feel comfortable that's playing on the court as a gay man?
Well, I don't think we're going to have to do anything other than continue the rules that we currently have. Abusive fans, I guess if that's what you're concerned about, are going to be escorted from the building. And if there's any abuse by fellow players, which I doubt, we'll take appropriate action there.
And Magic Johnson, though he is not gay, was a pioneer in the sense that he was someone that brought awareness to HIV and the fact that it can affect anyone.
Correct.
And actually played. What was it like to be the commissioner at that time?
Well, it was a existential moment for us because we were not allowed to test other players because of various laws. So it wasn't going to be a test to say, okay, are you HIV positive? And yet we had a player saying he wouldn't play with Magic. And we said, then you won't play because Magic's playing. Because we knew the science then is that you couldn't become HIV positive through the passing of perspiration. And so it was, we were worried though, because America really hadn't caught up much or wasn't as aware. The last thing before Magic announced that he was HIV positive was a young man in Indiana, Brian White, who, or was it Ryan White? I think it's Ryan, who was barred from school because he was HIV positive through a transfusion because he was a hemophiliac. And yet here was Magic, this smiling face, this important person, and his photo was spread all over the world, and he changed the debate on HIV in this country.
Will it be more difficult for a player than it was for Magic if a player comes out as gay and takes the court?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to make it easy. And by making it easy, it's really about business as usual. There's a lot of prejudice out there. Italian soccer and other countries have been dealing with it. It's in the news. Racist statements, crowds chanting racist epithets. You know, that doesn't have a place in sport. It's just supposed to bring out the best in us. And I think that strong action will continue, I think, a tradition of openness in our league.
You said you won't be inactive in retirement and that you have a lot of things that you want to do. Do you have any interest in writing a book?
No. The only cheer I got when I told the owners I'd be stepping down was when I said, don't worry, I'm not writing a book. And I won't write a book. It's just not me. I may collect some thoughts. I may give some speeches. I may apply what I've learned and what I think I know to other business adventures, rather than saying ventures, business adventures, but it's going to be fun. I'm going to continue doing anything I can to support the ongoing growth of the NBA, particularly internationally. It's a place where I've worked hard and built up something of a sort of a reputation, and I think I can be helpful there. But beyond that, I don't have any announcements yet.
Okay, but it could very well be basketball related.
Well, it would be NBA related in the international sphere, but it may be I've done a lot of work here on a variety of topics: television, digital, marketing, communications, crisis management. I could turn this into a profile tape as I apply for jobs, but really I'm having a broad array of discussions across all of those topics and more that are going to keep me occupied pretty fully.
LeBron and Kobe, they made it to the NBA right out of high school and have been phenomenally successful. Does seeing the success that they've had in any way support the notion that the 19-year-old age limit is unfair to future superstars who could enter the NBA from high school?
As a business matter, it's probably a good idea to see these young men develop to a certain point a year after college for two different reasons. One, so you can see them play against better competition, and two, so they get an extra year to sort of mature. Kevin Durant said that if he hadn't spent that year at Texas, he probably would have been roaming around malls when he came into the NBA. So I think there's, it's not such an easy subject, and it's certainly, if our rules are unfair, then every rule that every corporation has about hiring for job requisitions is unfair because they assume a certain minimum level of proficiency. In our case, it's life and basketball skills up until the age of 19.
And then against that backdrop, you have the rise of the AAU and the pressure that high school students and junior high school students feel that they need to specialize in one sport.
Yeah.
How does that affect the game?
It certainly, in our case, means that there's a larger pool of talent. I won't get into summer basketball because I think AAU is used too loosely to describe all of summer basketball, and that's not fair to the AAU. But I do think there are many, many abuses when you read articles that 12-year-olds are playing 100 games a summer or something like that. Obviously, something's out of whack, but that's what happens when the rewards are so high that parents focus on everyone being the next great player.
So really, it's the overinvestment in the NBA dream and the underinvestment in development and education that concerns
Arthur
you.
Ashe was prescient. You're more likely to be a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon than you are to be an NBA player. There are probably as many, great African-American doctors, and more so than there are great basketball players, and there are probably more great African-American scientists than there are great basketball players. It's just that there are broader opportunities. The specialty at the NBA is so unique that every year...
And so visible.
But we draft 60 people a year. I don't know what the number is. 30 make the roster, probably maybe 45, but then they begin to drop off. It's a very high arc to stay attached to.
What would you tell these young people? Because they come into the league from one socioeconomic reality, never having seen that much money, and then all of a sudden, overnight, they have it. What would you tell them for all the things that you've seen about being successful in life?
It actually, it's a lot of money for any socioeconomic group, so it wouldn't be fair to sort of think about the image of a poor black kid from the ghetto. That isn't the prototype. The prototype is pretty sophisticated kids who have been guiding their way to get here. And what we would say to them is choose your advisors wisely, and your union should be much more involved than it is and your agent, making sure that you are protected for life given the sums of money that are likely to flow through your bank account. And that's an important issue, and I would say important failure, because we've tried certain things in the past that didn't quite get sustained because of pressure from the union and the agents and what I mean is we actually had put away large sums of money for players. But in a subsequent collective bargaining agreement, it was a demand by the union at the behest of the agents to get rid of it, and we did. Now we're back in the last collective bargaining agreement. There's an annuity that we in the union have agreed to that will be put away for every player. Small amounts as a start, but hopefully it'll grow. But the most important thing is for the combination of the league, the agents, the union, and the players who have to take some responsibility to make sure that you don't see something like the ESPN feature I recently reviewed entitled Broke.
That must be tough to see that when you're the commissioner.
It is tough. And it had more NFL players. And maybe as my personal reaction, it was unfair. Because so many of them were African Americans, I viewed the entire story as mildly racist, but I think I may have just my own sensitivity or sensibility based upon ridiculous repetition of unprovable facts, Someone supposes in Sports Illustrated that so many percentages, and so the director of the movie or the producer says, 2009 Sports Illustrated, and they give you the fact. It's pretty sloppy journalism, but it doesn't change the issue that it is an important issue, and there are a lot of players who We never take advantage of their opportunity to assure the rest of their lives being comfortable. I mean, they're sitting there listening to the players in front of the camera. Well, I had, you know, actually I think it was Evander Holyfield. He was going to build a 52,000 square foot house with 2 bowling alleys. I was like, oh my God, why would you do that? And players were buying, NFL players buying several cars, and not several, is a small number, houses, being guided into terrible investments. This is a sort of it cuts across sports, and we just have to do a better job of it. It's a real failing of the sports leagues.
It makes you want to rewind the tape and go back to the NBA Rookie Symposium, where you try.
We do that, but in the absence of saying, we're not going to let you spend your money. Your agents are not going to let you spend their money. We're going to oversee the investment, and your union is going to make sure that that happens, rather than make as one of their demands that the money that was put aside for you in the future just be taken away, and you can do whatever you want to do, and you can decide together with your agent who shall invest your money. And you know what? We've come a long way. The agents now are a sophisticated group that really work hard to help their players, and the union is focusing on this now, and we are focusing on it now, but it hasn't completely come together, and we need to do a better job collectively.
Are there things that you can do now that you were not able to do or restricted to do as a commissioner that you're looking forward to doing?
Well, I can speak my mind more easily, but the best fringe benefit is going to be when someone says we'd like to do this in April, I don't have to say I'm sorry, that's the playoffs. And when they say, how about October, I'm saying, I'm sorry, that's the NBA European exhibition season. Well, how about February? That's the All-Star game. So it's going to be good to have a somewhat uncluttered calendar, and being able to spend some important time in some of the NGOs that I work at as well.
David Stern, we look forward to the next chapter for you.
Thanks, Lee.
Congratulations on 30 years.
Thank you.
And with David Stern, I'm Lee Hawkins. We'll see you next time.
I think that the stars are the stars. I love the opportunity. Nobody knew who Spud Webb was until he won the slam dunk contest. Well, I don't think we're going to have to do anything other than continue the rules that we currently have. Abusive fans, I guess if that's what you're concerned about, are going to be escorted from the building.